Elden. I'm sorry. Was it Elden Ring bosses
It,
that we wanted to go over, or everything?
it was Elden Ring, but like I definitely have a couple from the whole series. I mean,
Well, let's just stick with Elden Ring for right now.
yeah. Do you want it in 1 to 5 or 5 to 1?
I go 1 to 5. People
One
seem
to
to really
five.
like that a lot more. Oh wait,
Okay,
hold on. I'm
well,
sorry. Are you counting is one being your best and five being your kind of
one,
the lesser one?
yeah, one being the best, five being kind of it just made the list.
Okay, sorry. Then do 5 to 1.
Okay, so on my entire list, I actually have great enemies besides number five, which is the putrid Crystallian fight. You know, the triple fight that you find.
Future.
Uh, have you haven't
Okay.
met that fight yet?
The three Crystallions.
Yeah, where you have the shield bearer, the spear, and the sorcerer all together, but
Wow.
they have
Yeah.
Scarlet
I have not
Rot as
fought them
well.
yet.
Oh, fantastic fight. I love it.
Really?
I
So it
like
works
the
pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, well, think of the double fight that we see. You
Mm-hmm.
see that quite a lot in the dungeons. So you've got the sorcerer added on in the triple fight, but they also have Scarlet Rot when they hit you. So it's very much about kind of positioning again, because obviously if you go for an attack and you miss, then you've got the unfortunate possibility of the other two colliding. Um, but I thought it was really interesting to see a triple fight, and I think it's done very, very well for what it is.
Wow. Okay. I've actually
Um,
I haven't heard praise for that boss fight.
I like it. I think it was a cool feature too to have to break the armor. I think that's a really
Oh
cool
yes,
idea.
I love that. I
Yeah, and
I,
that's what made it number five. It was just the fact it's a triple fight and you have to break the armor, so it takes a lot of positioning. That's kind of the main reasons for me.
I would love to see like if in the DLC, I would love to see like a Crystallian Lord.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Oh man, can you
That'd
imagine
be
like
so cool.
like kind of like a
Yeah.
notorious style boss fight? Oh
Do you know?
man.
I feel like they could do that too because there's certain areas of the lands between where they're just randomly out in the open, like
Mm-hmm.
down pathways. So I feel like they should be able to do that idea, make a lord,
Yeah.
100%. Um,
I mean, there's
but
so
yeah,
many possibilities.
yeah, there really is actually. Elden Ring is very good for that. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of enemies that they could do so much with.
Oh yes.
Um, but that would be definitely number five. So one of the only mini bosses that I actually like in the game that I think is quite fun.
Very nice.
Um,
Yeah.
Then number four, I've got Star Scourge Radon,
Okay.
or the Homer Simpson clown bike,
Have
as
you
I'm
seen?
going to
Have you
refer
looked
to
at
him.
that clip yet to make comparisons?
Yeah, it's so funny. Like I had to go watch it again. It's so good. It's just so to the point, you know. I've never heard anybody refer to General Radon as that, but that is definitely going to be on my streams. He's going to be Homer,
There,
100%.
there you go. I'm surprised no one's turned that into a model mod yet. 'Cause, I mean, they've done
That'd be
character
so cool
mods
to.
of Elden Ring, but I would love to see someone turn Radon into Homer on a bicycle.
I don't even think I would want to do the fight. I just want to watch the character movement.
Can you imagine how funny that would look?
It'd be fantastic. That'd be so good. Um, yeah, no, I like Radon. I think because I mentioned earlier about the arena, I think they did a very good job considering
Hmm.
it was their first real open arena. And
Okay.
obviously, I guess that's down to Torrent being in the game, to get the players to go, okay, well, Torrent's a viable option because I feel like that fight, like we were saying about the whole on foot issue with the attack that we haven't really tested.
So
But what really makes that fight is the summons for me.
okay.
Yeah, it feels like an assault,
Uh
more
huh.
like kind of a unit attack instead of just one summon. And I'm not really a summon guy,
Right.
but I think Radon's fight just in the desert, you're running uphill, you're in this big battle. I just think it's so cool with the cinematics.
So
I think it's just amazing.
so you appreciate the presentation more than the actual fight?
I like the fight. I think it's got some good mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the fight's a bit of a letdown, like the media attack, because you can completely bypass that depending on the damage output.
Yeah.
But I think as a spectacle goes, I think the story, the lore behind it of how Radahn gets to where he is really interesting with the Scarlet Rot. I think the overall cutscenes for when the stars return is well done.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's one of the few cutscenes I don't skip, and I've seen it many times.
Yeah.
So I think if it wasn't for realistically the spectacle aspect, I probably wouldn't like Radahn. And it reminds me of Ganondorf, which is pretty cool.
Now, you
You know,
mentioned it was the first boss to have an open field like that. You don't consider the Slave Knight Gale fight like that?
I actually forgot about that fight.
Yeah, because that's pretty open.
That is very open. Yeah, that's
That's the
true.
first thing it reminded me of when I fought Radahn. I was like, man, this feels like Slave Knight Gale again.
Yeah, I forgot about that, and it's because I haven't really done that fight many times. It's not like Dark Souls 3 isn't one that I would kind of get very bored of, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, compared to the others. So no, that's actually a good point. I didn't think of the Gale fight. Oh
And
no, that's making me rethink a lot of things.
his presentation is also really good. I don't really care for the
Yes.
fight. Maybe I need to fight him now since I haven't fought him in probably like 5 years. Um, so I need to revisit him before I can really say that. But I remember when he first came out, I didn't really care for the fight, but I love Dark Eater Mitter so much more.
I'm a Sister Frida person when it
Oh,
comes to the
she's
DLCs. I
yeah,
love that fight. I
she's
love
also
that final fight.
spectacular. She should
And I
have
did
been
that fight without damage.
she
And
should have been the
that was a
final
power fight.
boss of Dark
Oh,
Souls 3.
100%. 100%. Yeah, she is the queen
Mm-hmm.
of the souls. Um, yeah, I'm a Sister Frida person when it comes to Dark Souls 3.
So, Radon, what did you think about how I approached Radon just by waiting out one attack?
I thought it was pretty smart, to be quite honest.
Because I could.
Because
I'm sorry.
oh, I was gonna say I thought it was quite smart because the way Radahn can be quite an aggressive fight with the whole gravity issue.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
no,
I saw no rolling videos, and the person just pretty much stays right behind him, poking him with with the katana. And I'm like, well, I don't want to use a katana, so I got to find something else. And obviously, anything slower is not going to really be as viable with that strategy. And so I pretty much had to sit there, studying the fight until I found some kind of weakness. And then finally, I noticed that attack had a nice telegraph and also had a lot of free space while he was performing the combos. I'm like, okay, well, I found something to work with. I wonder how long he's going to be doing this attack through the entire fight. And he actually does it, fairly generously throughout. I just had to, of course, I had to plan out when he was going to do the gravity in the middle. And that's
yeah,
basically
that's my
just
biggest
how
slip
I,
up.
built my strategy around Radon was just that one attack alone.
Yeah, no, that's actually a fair point.
Hmm.
Because the gravity attack is realistically the one attack that you've always got to keep in consideration.
And that's actually a really big problem I've seen in Elden Ring, where some bosses have that one attack that you gotta keep your mind in, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially when it's telegraphed well. But some of these attacks are not telegraphed very well, and fight attacks need to be satisfying to read and evade from, instead of it just happening and you feeling lucky that you got out of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I noticed you said that in a couple of your boss reviews.
Hmm.
I really thought it was a valid point because I hate that in a boss fight where you've got to constantly be thinking like more of the future attacks because there's always that, like you were saying, one attack that
Hmm.
is kind of the problem. Especially if you're doing a challenge run, like a no-hit run, you're already trying to think of what's going to be coming at that split second. So,
Sorry, my cat knocked over the baby monitor.
oh, don't you just love cats? They think they are God.
This one loves biting my feet when I'm fighting a boss. He's like adding an extra challenge for me.
Real? Wow. Do you know, it's funny you say that. My cat, when I was doing that Soul Level 1 challenge run, my cat hopped up and sat right in the middle of my screen when I was on the Chandra.
Hmm.
It just added a whole new layer of suspense, to be quite honest.
He also, when I was in a boss fight, he rubbed up against my controller right when I needed to avoid an attack and screwed me up and killed me. I was like, thanks.
Do you remember back in the day with like the old Xboxes and the PlayStations where it was the touch sensitive and animals could turn them off? I had that happen so many times where like one of our dog's noses or the cat's nose would touch the button and it would turn off mid like fight or mid save.
That never happened to me because I didn't. My family didn't really like animals in the house. I'm not really.
Ah, okay.
Um, so now that I'm living with my wife, she loves having animals in the house, and so this is the first time I've ever had to deal with animals while playing video games.
Well, cats think they are the Artorias of the real world.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're great fun.
Yeah, he's my little gamer kitty. He used to get on my desk and sleep on the little padding I had on there. He's gotten too big now, but yeah, he'll still get on my lap. But right now, my newborn, he'll lay on my lap and watch me fight bosses.
Well, you're getting them started early. That's a great way to
Oh
do it.
yeah, I'm like, yeah,
Get them
watch what
started.
I'm doing, son, because
Yeah.
you're gonna be playing this one day, so you need to remember these tactics I'm using for Radagon.
Yeah, especially for that fight, it's super important because delay in them attacks. It's there. The delay's there. Um,
So, what's your number three?
that's cool. Lich Dragon Fortis Axe.
Ah,
And I don't. You haven't done this fight, have
nope.
you? Just yet. It's a fantastic fight. It's probably my favorite dragon fight in the whole game.
Hmm.
And like, I think Placidus Axe is a pretty cool fight because we were chatting about that a couple of days ago. Because I remember how it came up, but we were chatting, weren't we, about certain bosses, and I was saying about how Placidus Axe was the final one I needed for the achievement. But Fortis Axe, it's just it's a spectacle, to be quite honest. So, have you been to the deep root depths in Elden Ring where you see fear? Have you been to that area?
Um, where's that located?
So it's you have to take the teleport from is it Mowen's Dynasty? There's a teleport. I can't remember the exact location, but that's how you access it. You take one of the portals, and it drops you out by under the Erd tree.
Maybe I haven't. That doesn't sound familiar.
It's yeah. Let me just check the wiki. I have it here somewhere. But when you get into it, you actually get to see Godwin, which is awesome because we
Okay,
don't
I don't think I've seen
you
that
only really
then.
get to see him in the cutscene. So it was cool to see. Obviously, he's a big giant fish. Well,
Oh
that's
man,
what I think he looks like.
dang it! Stop giving me a reason to go back to Elden Ring. I'm supposed to take a break.
No, I'm telling you, man, you got to go see it. It's cool because you see all the death blight, and the whole arena is for Fortisax is covered in death blight, and Fortisax himself is actually corrupted
Oh, sorry.
while trying to defend Godwin from the corruption of death blight after he's been killed. It's a really interesting lore behind it, which kind of makes it a fun fight for me. But he's one of the few dragon fights that uses the ancient lightning, the dragon lightning spells,
Mm-hmm.
but does it correctly, in my opinion. Like the way he spams with lightning spear and death lightning, I think it's just great. It's amazing animations. It's very well telegraphed. It's very rewarding if you can dodge them, mid attack, if you can time the roll. So I think it's just overall as a fight goes, dragon fight, it's probably the best one. You don't get constantly stone locked by flames. Well, I never have.
Okay.
But no, you've definitely got to go check it out because it's part of the Fear quest line to get Fear's ending in the game. You have to get the ruin of death, and put it back together. So you've got to do some of Rani's quest line as well. But no, it's a cool fight, and you get to see Godwin in the dream world, and it's just it's amazing. It's just
Wow.
spectacular.
Would you consider
Yeah.
it the best dragon boss in the From Software games?
Um, for me, probably yeah. I think it's just because of the color scheme, the fact his scales are dark black, but you can actually see his flesh under the scales because they're golden. And then you have the thorns from the death blight. It's just a really cool picture. And then I think just it has that whole risk reward feature, but the reward is definitely better. Like you feel like, okay, well, if I jump through this attack, it might kill me, but there's a chance I can deal some serious damage, if you time it correctly. So
Okay.
I think for me, it's one of the best ones that's been done.
All right, I definitely need to check it out. I don't have much input on it because I have not fought him. What's the fight in the Crumbling Azula where you just kind of warp to it? You can't really. I don't. I guess you can't get to it organically. You gotta just warp
Yeah,
it.
the Placidusax fight.
Yeah. What's the difference?
Placidusax is on steroids.
Really?
Well, he has the same kind of ancient dragon lightning attack because that's across all the ancient dragons. Now, where you see, especially when you're running down through Forum Azura, you know,
Mm-hmm.
where you find the ancient dragon smithing stone and the ancient somber smithing stone, where you get those two. Uh, that attack, Placidusax does it, but it's kind of poorly done because you can dodge it by just walking past it. Like the wind up time's something like 7 seconds. So, you know, it's not very well done. But Placidusax tends to, because I said he's on steroids, because he goes invisible.
Oh,
You've got
okay.
to deal with invisibility, and when he spawns back in, he does a lightning claw attack that you can dodge. If you have a little bit of a delay, but if you don't do it correctly, he can actually hit you on the pullback from it. So I guess
Is it a better
that's kind
fight?
of it's a better arena, I
Okay.
think, in terms of it's quite cool because it's frozen in time. You know, it's a very cool. You're in the tornado,
Uh huh.
which is pretty cool. I think what makes Placidusax's fight probably a little bit better is the laser beam attack from his two heads, because the two heads actually work together for the
Oh,
second phase, and that's pretty cool.
okay.
But I think aesthetically and kind of story wise, Fortisax is better. You know, in terms of kind of fitting in the game.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's kind of like Estelle, where the quest line version is better than the one in the mountaintops.
Yeah, I feel like Placidusax is just kind of. It's a cool idea because he's the first Lord, Elden Lord of the ancient times, but like you're saying, you have to warp to him, and it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of feels like you miss him. Like I have 450 hours in the game, and I didn't do him until last week, and I've done many playthroughs, and I completely forget he's there
Wow.
because of the whole drop down to get to the warp section is hidden,
Mm-hmm.
like on cliffs. You've got to kind of look down, and there's a teeny little lip that you land on. So yeah, I feel like Placidusax was just kind of
Oh,
they didn't know what to do with them.
hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. We gotta wrap it up here in a little bit. If you want to go ahead and
Yeah, no problem. Godric the Grafted is number two
nice.
because Godric is, I think, actually Godric was my least favorite fight when the game first came out,
Really?
and no, I absolutely love the fight. I think he's such a cool character. The whole grafting idea, he's got a really cool character design. I think the arena is amazing. I'm a big fan of Stormvale. I think it's probably one of my favorite level designs.
Oh yes.
Um, and the tombstones remind me of the Father Gascon fight
Mm-hmm.
a lot, which is pretty cool. And then
Oh, sorry.
the flowers, it just, I don't know, it reminds me of Bloodborne a lot, that arena. Just the way the whole floral fauna kind of thing going on.
Okay.
Very interesting. So I do feel like phase two is a bit of a letdown though in that fight, personally.
It.
Because you can just run under his first dragon attack and get
Yeah.
loads of damage in.
He does get very generous in the second phase.
Yeah, I do think it's a good fight in terms of the speed. There's no stagnant idleness like some bosses because of his, uh, isn't it Stormcaller? That's the attack, isn't it? Where he does like the hurricane spin. Stormcaller.
Is it
Uh,
okay? I thought it was the storm whirlwind or something.
yeah, it's either Stormcaller or Storm Whirlwind. It's one of them. I know there's an Ash of War that's called Stormcaller, and it's the same kind of idea. So maybe I'm
Okay,
getting
maybe
it
it is storm call because
confused.
usually the Ash of War is the same name as the boss attack.
Yeah, but if it wasn't for that attack, I think that fight would be pretty slow because it allows Godric to move at quite a rapid pace.
Well, all right. So what's your number one?
Morgoth the Omen King.
Oh,
He gets number one for me all the time.
really?
I I love that fight. I
I
think it's so cool.
I find that surprising considering that you don't like the dancer attack, which is he has a combo of a little that's a little bit similar.
Do you know if it wasn't for the fact that the second phase of the fight with the like I guess it's acid or pus. I don't really know what to call it when it comes up the ground.
I
That
guess
to
is
me,
filth.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly, yeah, that's what we'll call it. That for me is what makes the fight amazing. I think it's just so well done how the second half of that fight becomes so aggressive.
Hmm.
And I think compared to the first encounter with him, as obviously the first main proper boss, I definitely feel like they got rid of a lot of the delays in the attacks. You know, it definitely felt more. You get more reward for your risk in the second phase, I think.
Yeah, the second. I wish the whole fight was the second phase.
Yeah, the first phase, it's the same as when you first encounter him.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that second phase change being so dramatic, I probably wouldn't like the fight as much. And I think the intro cutscene's amazing when he
Hmm.
talks about the thrones. I think that's so cool,
Oh yeah.
considering he was banished away, yet he still defends the Great Will. I think it's a really cool concept. So,
Hoping maybe
yeah.
in the DLC, if it's if it's taken before the events of Elden Ring, we get to see everybody sitting in those chairs.
Oh, that'd be so cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Get to see it, like the whole. It's like that scene out of Lord of the Rings where they're talking about the Fellowship. It'd be so cool to see them all on thrones.
Oh yeah. See Radon in his original size.
Yeah, I don't think he would look the same. I think it would be a bit weird
Yeah, that would be really strange.
seeing him tiny. That's not into that. But yeah, they're my Elden Ring bosses. I feel like Fortisax is a bit of a weird one because a lot of people skip him.
That would be crazy if Radon was actually a dwarf.
And he's using gravity to
Yeah.
float. That'd be yeah. That'd be kind of cool actually. There's got to be a mod that does that. Has to be.